Welcome, friends. It's time for Thought Shifting Thursday. So, as you can see from the title, we're talking about self-care and self-love today. We might focus more on self-love today and then do a two-parter, and self-care today and then more on self-love next week. All leading up to your women's circle a week from Sunday, right?
Right.
Which is on this very subject, self-care slash self-love. Because they're completely related, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's start by talking just about what we each do for self-care. What do you do for self-care?
Self-care.
Mm-hmm. How do you treat yourself?
As a royal.
No kidding.
As much as I can.
Right.
I have certain things that I have to do. I have a lot of work that I have to do for our company and related to our ceremonies. But I always manage to find time to exercise. And exercise just makes me so happy. It releases all these endorphins, and it just makes me more alive. My body just loves the release and the tension. It releases tension in my body. And when I can't do it with exercises, I go to the massage, get a foot massage. We have, they used to be $25. I don't know what they are right now, but an hour, it usually works.
We have somebody coming this Sunday to give us both a massage who offered to do it for free.
It comes to you for sure.
Yeah, massage. That's a great one. What else?
I take a lot of supplements. I am a great friend of ours is helping me with trying to figure out how to get my gut to be better and to cleanse some of the stuff that's in there that it's no good for me. And so I am in a regiment and taking a lot of supplements to try to figure out how to cleanse my insides, because if the insides are not well, the outside is not well. So I love my hair, so I take very good care of it. I get it kind of colored, and a little bit of makeup. I've never thought that a lot of makeup makes you look better. I've never put gobs of stuff on my face, but just 5 minutes of putting something on makes me feel so much better about myself. And because I work at the house and you're always at the house, I try to make myself look good for you, especially for me too, but for you, to keep you interested in loving me.
And I am, believe me. So something this is kind of off topic a little bit, but not. This is more about the self-love. Is Karina's love language is acts of service. If you don't know love languages, just Google it. Mine is touch, physical touch. And so I'll just tell you this funny story. So one time on date night, well, let me back up a little bit and just say, so I know that, like, when she asks me to do something, it's not because, like, we could be lying in bed and she'll ask me to go get a glass of water, something I'd never do, because I could do it myself, right? I know that she's not doing it because she's lazy. She's doing it because that's how she feels loved. So she asked me to do lots of stuff that, again, I would not ask another person to do. But one time it was very funny. It was date night, and we were just eating a bunch of stuff, and she wanted me to take the plates away, but she didn't bother to actually verbalize it. She just went. So I started mimicking her, saying, "Take this from my presence, knave. Let it be gone, if you like your head." So anyway, that comes back, and that's fun. But for me, self-care, so I exercise. She thinks too much sometimes. I just love it, right? I play tennis 3 times a week, playing doubles tonight, played singles Tuesday, got a match on Sunday before the massage. So it's going to come in handy. And and yeah, I just love it. And then I run a little bit, and I do resistance training on the days that I'm not playing tennis. So pretty much 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week. I'll do a little bit of exercise.
A little bit of something.
At least on that 7th day. And then I've got these exercises I do for my back, my neck, my hip, that are all a result of exercising this much. So I have to exercise to heal from all the exercise, I guess. Anyway, so exercise is really important to me. I meditate first thing in the morning, at least 5 days a week, sometimes more. And what else do I do for self-care? Life balance is really important. That's in the description as well. Just having a balance of free time. We've said before in these videos that date night, 2 o'clock, Fridays and Mondays, we're looking so forward to, because this last week we had a party on 4th of July, so we couldn't do it on Monday, so we did date night on Sunday. So we get it in no matter what. But we've got to wait 5 whole days from Monday to Sunday, because we're busy. If we don't plan it, it just doesn't happen. So
yes.
2 o'clock. But to make up for not having the spontaneity in that, which sometimes we do, really,
Yes.
We schedule it, right? So 2 o'clock. Hi, Naomi. Hi, figuring it out. So 2 o'clock on Mondays and Fridays, everything gets shut down, and it's just us time. Make love. We laugh a lot.
We play.
A little bit of cannabis helps. We play some puzzles together, and
we connect. We
yes,
connect at a
that's
deeper,
the best thing
deeper
about
level.
it. The
Yes.
best thing about it, because when we sequester that time off, and it's just us, then no distractions, no phones. We don't answer anything.
I mean, it obviously it's easier for us because we don't have small children, and I know that people that have a young family, it's harder. But there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. At least 1 day a week, ask your the grandparents to help. Go away somewhere, or
get a sitter. Some
get
people,
a sitter somewhere.
If you don't have a sitter, find one. You can find one, right?
Yes, make it a priority. It's really important for your relationship.
Right. So, other forms of life balance. Let's see. I never schedule more than never say never. Three sessions a day in my coaching business. 4 max if it's like an emergency for somebody. I'm never rushed. That's a big part of my self-care, my self-love, is not being rushed. Very proactive. When we do our taxes, we start 3 weeks in advance so that we're not rushed. It comes in. It's enjoyable, right? What else about life balance? Spaciousness. And then, we have...
making time for family. You're... a model for me, really. I mean, I have 3 kids, and my middle child has always been very close to me, and so she makes it a point to call me almost every day. We talk almost every day, just to say how we're doing, how, what's going on, and connect. The other 2, it's a little bit harder, but you have made it a point to schedule a phone call with each one of the kids, and I just admire that so much.
It became important to me. It wasn't most of my life. I just, I'm so involved in my life purpose, my work, and I've never, and I won't get into my whole family history, but, there was pretty much just my mom,
Right.
Didn't have a big family. And she wasn't really family-oriented either. But, I met my soul daughter.
But I am.
Yeah, but you are. She's got a huge Latin family, and it's great. I love it. And my mom loved it too, being part of a big family before she passed. And I've got my nieces, my grandnieces.
Your soul daughter.
And yeah, I met my soul daughter. I won't go into the details about that, a couple of years ago, and we started talking once a week. And I thought, wow, talking to this person who's been a stranger up until now. I will give you a little back history. She was the firstborn of my first wife, and so there's a lot more information about that. But anyway, we've become very close. But I realized, wow, I'm talking to this person who's been a stranger, who I didn't know up until a couple of years ago. I got to talk to my daughters, my stepdaughters, and so yeah, I started scheduling. I've missed a couple of weeks though, with Carmen coming back here, moved back from Spain, and Allison. So yeah, that's all really important. Let me say a couple things about self-love. Well, let's start with you. I wanted to come back to the
self-love.
Nave.
So what's the difference between self-care and self-love?
I'd say self-care is an expression of self-love, and also is a demonstration of self-love. If you can work from the inside out or from the outside in. Great question. Because if we just commit to doing things that are self-care, then we will feel like we're demonstrating that we're loving ourselves. So we will feel more self-love, which will then inspire us to want to do even more things for self-care. And then it becomes this cycle that just builds upon itself. And the opposite is true. If I start from the inside and just love myself more, then I will naturally start doing more things that are for self-care. So, and I had a client yesterday, and I'm glad you asked that question, because I wanted to, when I first thought about this topic, I wanted to bring this up, and I might have forgotten about it. And she's been really focusing on self-care and getting better at it. I mean, for her, there were, sometimes she didn't shower as much as she'd like to. She didn't put on makeup as much as she'd like to.
Yes.
And take her supplements and all these things.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is she started doing more of these. And what it really emphasized for me is that when we do one thing that betters our physical, emotional, mental well-being, then we're inspired to do more things, right? So when I exercise, I want to eat healthier. If I eat healthier, I want to exercise more, right? And so
it
just
complements each other.
Exactly.
It helps one another. Yeah.
And so she started doing just a couple things, and now all the things she wanted to do are happening more, because that's how it works, right?
So you start. So how do you take
self-love?
Self-love.
So, the thing I say to my clients, and it's my baseline spiritual practice, because I feel, and I don't think anyone would argue with this that's watching this video, that self-love is the most important thing in life. Because if we don't love ourselves, we're really not going to be much good to other people. And, just all good things happen when we love ourselves. So my baseline spiritual practice is I love myself no matter what. Because the true test of self-love is not loving myself when I just made $100,000 on an investment, which happened last year. But can I love myself when I lose 100,000? Yeah, actually, that 100,000 went down and down another 100,000. Can I love myself in that moment? That's the true test of self-love. So what that means is that the only time we can exponentially increase self-love is when bad things happen. There are no bad things. That's just a judgment, right? They're simply opportunities. Opportunities to love ourselves more. And so every time something happens for you that creates discomfort, if you use that affirmation, I love myself no matter what, you're exponentially increasing your self-love. The thing I wanted to say about you is this, the very beginning you said, I treat myself royally.
I do.
I often say to clients, if you want to learn how to be a powerful woman, I say this to my female clients, who does not take shit from anyone, who honors herself who creates healthy boundaries. Just shadow my wife for one day. Right? You want to say more about that?
Well, with men in life, I learned what I didn't want and people to treat me like. And I was treated pretty poorly when I was younger. And I vowed that no man, no one was going to mess with me. And no one, I try not to let anybody push my boundaries. I have boundaries. I keep my boundaries. And if you pass it, you better watch out, because I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it and push it until you get out of my way, because that's how I take care of myself, is by putting those boundaries up and those flags up. I mean, in any situation, anywhere I go, or whether I'm in the health club or where I'm in the supermarket, you carry yourself a certain way, and if you're sure of yourself and you're projecting to others, I can't mess with this woman.
Yeah.
She's too self-aware. She's not going to put up with anything. And there was a situation where somebody just approached me, and I didn't know what it was all about. It startled me, but I'm like, what do you want? I'm just not going to let it get to me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that I take care of myself.
Right. And her personal boundaries are so strong that it's caused me to be a stronger man, to have stronger boundaries, because otherwise her boundaries will walk all over my boundaries.
Yes, that is true.
And we came to the conclusion early on that if she got what she wanted, which is to totally dominate me
all the time,
we couldn't be together, because she wouldn't respect me.
I wouldn't respect you. Yes.
It's interesting, and that's a dynamic I see between men and women. We attract, or even non-gender people, right? We tend to attract people who are opposites, and so male, female, right? Qualities, regardless of what your body is like, we want people to be like us. I see that in dynamics and relationships, is what frustrates a man about a woman, or male energy about female energy, is emotional, whatever those generalizations might be. And men, again, generalization or masculine energy tends to be more cerebral, more mental. And so we attract the opposite, because we want to learn, we want to absorb more of what we're not alike, right? Mm-hmm. But this very thing that we're attracted to is the thing that drives us crazy too. And so I don't remember what my point was about.
Boundaries, I think. The boundaries.
Yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting dynamic how that works.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll say this: the more we love ourselves, obviously, the more we can love someone else. And so, the thing that comes out of that for me is, I know that, and we'll talk about this probably more next time, but the more I love myself, the more I can love and accept my partner unconditionally. And the thing that I found in relationship through especially this relationship and previous ones, and it continues to grow, is that the more the most important thing for a healthy relationship is to A, accept my partner exactly the way she is, and B, consistently ask for what I want. If you do one or the other, if I accept her and don't ask for what I want, I'm going to get walked over, right? Or I'm not going to get I'm not going to be fulfilled in the relationship. If I ask for what I want, but don't accept my partner, she's never going to give it to me. Because what everyone wants more than anything else is to be accepted unconditionally. So if my love for her is conditional on her being a certain way, she's never going to fulfill that, because then she can't be
who I am.
Right. She can't be loved unconditionally.
Yes.
I will say there's one caveat to that. If someone's in a relationship, and I've been there, where I am trying to be someone that I'm not
To please the
to get love,
to get love.
it's never going to work out well. It's never going to be healthy, right?
Yes.
So when I ask for what I want and my partner knows that it's not conditional, my partner is most likely going to give me what I want, because, and vice versa. If I'm loved unconditionally, that's the greatest gift anyone can receive. And therefore, I'm going to want to do everything I can to make that person's life as joyful as possible, because I'm getting the greatest gift possible. So it's a both and.
Right.
Ask for what I want, sometimes with strong
Demand
boundaries. I won't go quite that far, but sometimes, yeah.
You gotta demand it sometimes, yeah.
But at the same time, my love is not conditional on getting it. Right? I'm going to accept. What I learned early on is, this is a woman who is, she'll tell you that her growing edge has been to think before she speaks, right? She's very spontaneous. She can get in your face, and I realized early on that I have to accept the whole package, right? Because if she wasn't that way, in a way that bugs me a lot, then she also wouldn't be as spontaneous with her laughter, with her sexuality, with all the things that I love about her, right? So,
Yes.
so accepting the whole package.
It's, accepting yourself as you are. Sometimes it's pretty hard because of the mistakes that you've made, the mud that you're dragging behind, and leaving it behind you, and accepting and saying, okay, that was tough. I've learned my lesson, and I'm going to forgive myself for whatever mistake I made or lesson that I learned, and move on, and not be harping on it over and over and over again. People just get stuck in the past and are not able to forgive themselves. And if you don't, it drags you down. It really does.
I love myself no matter what.
No matter what.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and a psychiatrist was saying, people who go to therapy, the kind of therapy that talks about the past, uncomfortable situations, trauma of the past, over and over and over, is actually not doing anyone any good, because you're reinforcing those bad feelings. And not to say that some of that is good about healing the past, but if you continue to do it for years and years and years, as Freudian therapy tends to do, then you're continuing. She said, in the same way that we can learn to be unhappy, we can learn to be happy. And the way you do that is by focusing on happy thoughts, on what's there to be joyful right now, on creating happy situations in your life, on moving forward. That's why I love the coaching model for most healthy people better than the psychiatric model, because it's about moving forward, building one's future. And we do have techniques for healing the past as well, but it starts at the point is, where do you want to go? What's the life you want to create? Let's move toward that. And then as stuff comes up from the past, then we can deal with it. And the beauty of it is there's more incentive to heal the past when the payoff is living the dream life that you want to live. Right?
Yes.
So, anything else we want to say? Any final words about self-love or self-care?
Again, loving yourself for where you are right now.
Be good to yourself. Be
Yes.
gentle with yourself. That inner dialogue.
Demand it.
That inner dialogue, shift it. When you notice yourself putting yourself down, shift it to the positive, right?
Do something that's going to make you happy.
There you go.
Maybe go out for a walk. Go to a little park. Pet a dog or a cat. Find something that, watch the sky, the birds. There's always something beautiful out there.
And now you're getting into my most emphasized theme, is do what brings you joy consistently in life. Some people say, oh, that sounds selfish, right? If I'm just doing what brings me joy. What I've found is when I do what brings me the most joy, what's best for me, it's always what's best for everyone else.
Yes.
You know, if you stay in a relationship for the children or any other reason, I'm not, dissing anyone that does that. Everyone makes their own choices, but you got to realize that what are you modeling for your children, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're modeling an unhappy life if you're in an unhappy relationship. And so, yeah, there's might be trauma for children when people split up, but I know, I've coached people who said, I wish my parents would have split up. That's something we're writing a book. The working title is Ecstatic Love and Sex Over 50. And one of the things that I thought that I want to include in it, because we're running out of areas to focus on, it's almost done, I think, but is find the right person. Right? I mean, we couldn't be, if you weren't the right person, or, and I'm not one who necessarily believes in soulmates, believe you could partner with a lot of people, but find the person. And here's a little tip, by the way. I find that opposites attract on a personality level, likes attract on a soul level. So the ideal is to have opposite or different personality traits, like we are, very different in many, many ways, but our values are very, very similar. That's the soul qualities, right? That's what's important, because, man, I gotta have respect for people who are on opposite sides of the political spectrum.
Yes.
Who are able to create a successful relationship.
That would be really hard, yes.
All right, I think that's it for now. We've covered a lot of ground here. You want to make these shorter, but hey, it's hard, right? Got so much to share. So listen, we love you all, and we really just encourage you all to be gentle with yourself this coming week and beyond. And if you got some value out of this today, love you too, Naomi. Share it, give us a like, give us some comments, and have a fantastic weekend. All right, love you all.
Love you.
And